My name is Keith. I'm a 26-year-old comic book artist. Currently, without a steady job, I'm getting by on small gigs. That I can make ends meet at all is thanks to Sarah, who is my wife and very reliable. Keith, I'm home, and did you forget to clean the house again? Sarah, who had unusually returned home on time, sighed in dismay at the sight of our cluttered apartment. Though I, being home more often, should be in charge of the household chores on weekdays, I had been neglecting them lately, with the excuse of being too busy. Oh, sorry about that. Actually, I've been having trouble making progress with my illustration work. I was planning to do it later. If you're busy, that's fine. You'll have to take care of that and I'll do the cleaning, Sarah said, and began tidying up the room efficiently. Unlike me, who's not good at housework, Sarah does everything quickly. Sarah, 24 years old, is a beautiful woman who is recognized by everyone around her, smart and to the point, and is really a good wife who is too good for me. We met at a party held by a publishing company a year ago and quickly hit it off, leading to a whirlwind marriage. Unlike me, a high school grad, Sarah is a talented graduate from a prestigious university and currently works at a major publishing company. According to Sarah, she has been a fan of my work for a long time. My first serial work was a youth-themed boys comic strip about the troubles and struggles of high school students. Though I'm not doing well now, I was once a promising young comic artist, and my debut work was quite popular. However, I lost in the competitive world of comic serializations, and my series was cancelled 2 years after its debut. Keith, I'm sure you can create another wonderful piece. Sarah always encouraged me, and I strongly wish to do so. But, having faced continuous rejections from comic awards over the year, my morale was significantly down. Despite feeling this wasn't right, Sarah's stable job at a big corporation made me somewhat complacent. And such complacency eventually started straining our relationship. Keith, you haven't cleaned again. Sarah came home from a company social gathering and opened her mouth with a tired look on her face when she saw the living room. That day, I had been drinking away my sorrows since noon, having been rejected from a newcomers award I had put my hopes into. I felt pathetic, but even more so, I had no motivation to do chores that day. Drunk from heavy drinking, I blurted out, "Come on, you must be drunk and tired, too. Let's get some sleep now and clean up tomorrow. I'll take care of it tomorrow for sure." How many times am I supposed to believe that line? Seeing Sarah's face, I sobered up instantly. Tears were streaming down her face, a look of utter sadness. My wife's tears hit me hard. "Sarah, I'm sorry. I'm tired of it. Even you are tired of me nagging at you, right?" "That's not true, and..." "Well, that's enough. If we keep going like this, we'll just ruin each other. Keith, let's get a divorce," Sarah said, her shoulders trembling, tears welling up in her eyes. At that moment, I truly regretted my actions for the first time. I had been taking her for granted, but she must have reached her limit. I had no right to insist we stay together after all I had done to hurt her. Okay, I understand. And so, we put an end to our one-year marriage. Sarah is still young at 24, brilliant and beautiful. She will surely have many wonderful encounters in the future. After my divorce from Sarah, I decided to return to my family home and help with the farming. I thought I would completely give up drawing comics. But seeing me like this, my mother said something unexpected. "Keith, are you not going to draw comics anymore?" I was taken aback by her words. My mother had always been somewhat negative about me drawing comics. She had always insisted I'd get a proper job, and now I wondered what had changed her mind. "Well, that's the plan, but why do you ask?" "Actually, I've read your comics too, after Sarah strongly recommended them to me." Sarah. I never dreamed Sarah's name would come up in this context. Right, Sarah always praised your comics. She told me that she felt a lot of pressure to go to school because her older brother had gone to a very difficult university when she was in high school preparing to go to college. She also said that your comics gave her encouragement and inspiration. Indeed, the characters in my comics often include high school students struggling with exams. At that time, reading your comics not only moved her but also made her want to be involved in creating such works, which motivated her to pursue college with a positive mindset. I see. It's surprising that Sarah would talk like that with you. I got curious because of that and read your comics myself. Honestly, I used to think comics were just for kids, but I was deeply moved. It's incredible that you can create such touching stories. Before I knew it, my mother was wiping a tear from her eye with her finger. Keith, it might be presumptuous of me to say this, but I'm sure Sarah also wishes for you to continue drawing comics, and I, too, want to read more of your works. Hearing my mother's words, I felt I couldn't give up on my dream of being a comic artist. I decided to leave my parents' home again, moved into an affordable place, and started living alone. Honestly, it's quite tough to make ends meet even in a rundown apartment with my current income. But I knew I had to push myself to this extent to change. All right, let's get drawing. Patting my cheek to cheer myself up, I sat down at my desk. Without Sarah or my mother around, I had to take care of all the household chores myself. Although I struggled at first, my household chore skills improved significantly with practice. Without anyone else to rely on, I had to do everything myself, and that changed me. What I initially thought of as bothersome chores became enjoyable as I figured out my own ways to do them. How to make delicious and filling meals with cheap ingredients. I began to draw essay comics and regularly post them on social media. My comics received more attention than I expected, so I added episodes about how I was a failure of a man, which led to my wife leaving me, all themed around a divorced man's budget living. Sarah might never see this work, but in a way, it's also an act of repentance towards her. 10 years after starting to live alone, I began to lead a somewhat stable life. Unfortunately, I haven't secured a comic serialization yet, but I've gotten more illustration work, and it seems I can continue living this way. However, an unexpected event happened one day. What? You want to publish my essay comics as a book? I was startled when an unknown number called my phone, but the caller turned out to be the editor-in-chief of a major publishing company. Yes, we saw your work online and thought it was very unique. We saw your phone number on your social media profile, so we decided to contact you. I often received calls for small jobs, but I never dreamed a major company would contact me. We'd like to invite you to our office to discuss a potential contract. Yes, of course. And so, I met with the editor-in-chief, Jason, at the publishing company. Jason was a very pleasant man who offered me a very favorable contract. He planned to publish my social media posts as a book with exclusive bonus pages. Jason's plan was to continue releasing my work on social media and periodically publish books. To have my work published, and even to be able to release subsequent volumes, is incredible. This is truly a dream come true. Jason, thank you so much for everything. I look forward to working with you. Oh, actually, that's the thing. Unfortunately, I will be working on editing another magazine next month. Is that so? I was honestly a bit shocked, as I thought Jason and I could become good business partners. Yes, but don't worry. We've already decided on my successor, who is perfect for this job. Let me introduce to you. Saying that, Jason left the room to call the new editor-in-chief. I wondered who my new editor would be, feeling nervous. To my surprise, standing next to Jason was Sarah. Sarah was also surprised to see me. Sarah, this is Keith, the artist I scouted. You'll be the editor-in-chief starting next month, so I thought it would be better to have a face-to-face meeting first. Judging from the conversation, it seems Sarah is going to be promoted to editor-in-chief next month. Despite the unexpected situation, Sarah extended her hand and greeted me. "Nice to meet you. I'm Sarah and I'll be the editor-in-chief starting next month." "Well, nice to meet you too. I'm Keith, a comic artist. I'll leave you now. If you have a little more time, why don't you two talk for a while? Getting to know each other is very important for the editor-in-chief and the artist." Jason then left the meeting room. Left alone in the room, Sarah and I sat opposite each other, silently and tensely, for a while. Sarah, whom I hadn't seen in 10 years, looked exactly the same. No, she had become even more beautiful and appealing than before. While I was admiring Sarah, she was the first to break the silence. "It's surprising, isn't it, to meet like this? I never imagined I would meet you in this way, either. Actually, I was headhunted by this company 5 years ago. I felt that I wasn't quite fitting in with my previous publishing company, so the timing was perfect." "That's amazing, especially to become an editor-in-chief at your age." "Thank you. I'm still inexperienced, but I'll do my best. I am happy to be able to work with you." "Also my pleasure to work with you." Then we shook hands again. It seems I might be able to build a good professional relationship with Sarah. I was relieved, thinking I have completely fallen out of favor with her. Also, this is something I should keep to myself, but I felt somewhat relieved to see she was still using her maiden name and there was no ring on her left ring finger. Sarah was modest about herself, but she was truly a competent career woman. Thanks to Sarah's precise advice, I was able to create even better works, and my comic posts on social media steadily gained more readers. Jason was so supportive that he frequently gave Sarah advice about her work, beyond his responsibility. And Sarah gladly took his advice, saying, "Thanks for the advice I can use in the future." This kind of humble attitude has probably led her to further growth. Jason, too, must have a strong expectation for his junior, Sarah, which is why he takes such good care of her. One day, Jason shared something with me. "Sarah has quite a good eye for judging artists. Actually, I heard about you from Sarah." "Really?" "Sarah was checking your posts every day and recommended them to me. That's why I strongly felt I wanted her to be your editor-in-chief after me. Though Sarah herself didn't expect to end up being your editor." With a smile from Jason, I felt a warm sensation in my heart. Even after our divorce, Sarah had been regularly reading my works on social media. It was Sarah's recommendation that led to my direct contract with the publishing company. I couldn't thank Sarah enough. Along with my genuine appreciation, I noticed once again that I still had feelings for Sarah. Of course, she ended up divorcing me because I was such a loser, so it wouldn't be easy to mend our relationship. But I hoped that by creating good works, I could at least earn her recognition as a comics artist. I had decided to let go of my feelings for her, but then an unexpected situation occurred. I was leaving the company after a meeting and saw someone crouching near the building. Concerned, I approached and found it was Sarah. "Sarah, are you okay?" "Keith, I suddenly felt sick. Should I call an ambulance?" "No, it's not that bad, but I'd like to lie down if possible." I hailed a taxi and decided to take Sarah to her apartment. Fortunately, it was only a 10-minute drive from the office to her apartment, so Sarah could lie down on her bed right away. She must have been exhausted. As soon as Sarah lay down, she fell asleep. I headed to the supermarket near the apartment to pick up groceries and medicine to take care of Sarah. There was no way I could leave Sarah alone in that condition. About an hour later, when I returned to her apartment from shopping for essentials, Sarah looked better and greeted me as she woke up. "Keith, I'm sorry for the trouble. You went shopping for me, didn't you? Please, take this money and head home soon. I just have a slight cold, so there's no need to worry." "Oh, no problem. You've been asleep since you got home, Sarah. You should eat something. I'll prepare it, so just wait here. While Sarah waited at the table, I started cleaning the kitchen. True to Sarah's meticulous nature, the apartment was clean overall, but I found a few dishes left unwashed in the kitchen. Seeing me wash the dishes and efficiently prepare the meal, Sarah seemed surprised. "Wait, Keith, when did you learn to do this?" Sarah said that, widening her eyes and staring intently at me. She probably knows me only as the person who struggled with household chores during our marriage, which makes her even more surprised. "You haven't seen anything yet." Saying that, I showed off my proud skills to Sarah. Ta-da! This is my special soup that I even featured in my essay. I served the soup and Sarah ate it with pleasure. "This is really delicious." Seeing Sarah happy made me feel a happiness I had never known before. Though I used to think of chores as a nuisance, making someone special happy like this felt like a joy to me. After finishing the soup, Sarah turned to me and said, "Keith, you've really changed. Just like you wrote in your essay, you've really put in the effort." Well, I was too complacent before, but knowing that you read my essay made me very happy. "Yes, Keith, I've never forgotten about you, not even for a day. I might not have the right to say this, but I still love you, Sarah. If possible, I want to share my life with you again. Keith, I believe that with you as you are now, we can have a happy marriage." Saying this, Sarah moved closer to me. I never imagined that after 10 years, she would return to my arms. Grateful for this miracle, I cherished the moment and held Sarah gently. I was determined not to repeat the mistakes of the past. It was a special night when I resolved to love her wholeheartedly. 6 months later, we remarried and re-registered our marriage. Now, as a couple and as an editor and comic artist, we have a great relationship. We are currently working together on a plan to revive my debut work for a new serialization. Let's make it even better this time, taking into account what went wrong when it was canceled before. I'll definitely do my best. Just like in life, any story can start over again if the author is willing. Just as the relationship between me and Sarah has become more connected than before, that youth story that once moved Sarah will also move people even more.